Sustainability isn't just the job of producers. It's an important conversation to be had up and down the entire beef industry supply chain. Joining me to talk more about these efforts is Bridget Wasser. Bridget, thanks for being with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So it's really an issue that affects all portions of the beef industry supply chain. Tell us a little bit about the groups that you engage with.
Yeah, sustainability is absolutely top of mind with food companies today in a lot of different ways. One is that they just want to understand it themselves as a company. They want to know about the products they're buying and they're selling, and they have to report to their stakeholders as well about how they're addressing topics like sustainability. And then certainly they need to be able to explain to their customers where their beef is coming from, how it's raised, and there's just a lot more interest in that right now. And so we found that supply chain companies, major retailers, major food service operators are looking for education on the topic. They're looking for the latest research, the latest resources on the topic, so they can inform themselves and then in turn inform their customers.
So it's even their customers that are really driving a lot of this information. Now, your team recently hosted a series of webinars specifically targeted towards this group to provide them some of those resources. Tell us about those.
Yeah, absolutely. We just hosted a two-part sustainability research webinar series to share predominantly the latest research on the topic, but also just to help answer a variety of questions that they may get from their customers, overall to help our broader supply chain feel more engaged and educated on the topic of beef sustainability. We talk to companies every day, kind of one-on-one, but to reach a broader audience, we do broader educational activities like webinars. We have an email newsletter, LinkedIn posts, so we can reach more than just the companies and the contacts we're talking to on a daily basis.
Yeah, maybe talk a little bit who was involved in these webinars, who attended, and what was their feedback?
Well, we had really good attendance. We had about 250 folks on the first one, about 150 on the second, and it was attended by retail and food service operators, really different folks within those companies. Maybe they have a sustainability lead, or maybe they don't. Maybe it falls to the meat team or a marketing team, and it's somebody that really just doesn't have any background on the topic. We also had a lot of processors, packers, further processors, those that are kind of in the middle of the supply chain as well. And then we even had some educators, we had producers as well join us, just to kind of hear the latest again on the research in a kind of unique way through the webinar series.
You know, you mentioned producers. Is there something that producers can do to support these efforts or recognize their place in the conversation?
Well, I think one of it is just to continue to tell their story, to try to get their stories out there of all the great things that they're doing on their operations to make this industry sustainable. That's a story that's been very well received by the supply chain and I think by consumers as well. We know it's done differently from state to state and operation to operation, but then there's a unique story for everyone to tell. And I would say folks are really receptive to it right now, particularly with our supply chain audience, and telling that story and getting out in front of it and being proud about the actions that they take every day is something that's really going to resonate, and ultimately we hope sell more beef into the future as well.
So if producers wanted to hear these webinars that you put out to see what kind of information and resources that maybe they can take advantage of, how would they do that?
Well, it's pretty easy. We recorded the webinars and they are both available on beefitswhatsfordinner.com. Just go to the Raising Beef section. You can find a lot of information about sustainability, research articles, consumer focused articles, and then we also have the recordings of these webinars there as well for folks to watch into the future.
Great. Bridget, thanks to you and your team for this really important work that you're doing for us.
Thanks so much.
As Bridget mentioned, you can find these webinars plus many other valuable resources on beefitswhatsfordinner.com.